All right, let's see how we can combine multiple Excel files from a folder. So we are working with the same data set, but this time 2012, 13, 14, and 15 sales amount is mentioned in different Excel files. So I'll just open one of them to show it to you. As you can see here, we have the data only for 2013. So we have about 10,000 records. And like this, there are four different Excel files, and each one of them has the sales data for a particular year. Now, our objective here is to be able to combine all these four into a single master file and then create a pivot table from that. To do this, let's open an Excel file. In the Data tab, we click on Get Data from File and then the last option, which is From Folder. We can choose the folder path. So I'll simply come over, copy the path and put it here. Now, the first thing that Excel does is to verify how many files are there in that folder. So it is telling me that there are four files, 12, 13, 14, and 15. We want to click on Combine and Transform. And now from each one of these four Excel files, we have to decide which sheet we want. Now remember, the sheet name has to match in all the Excel files. In our example, in all the four Excel files, the sheet is called Sheet 1. So we select the sheet name and then press OK. And now the rest of the work is going to be handled by Power Query Editor and not Excel Visual Basic. So if you notice carefully, a new window has opened up. And at the top left, you can see it is called Power Query Editor. This uses a completely different language called mQuery, which is also called the mashup language. If you can't see the formula bar when you are working on your system, you can simply click on View and then make sure that the formula bar has been enabled, because sometimes it gets disabled automatically. Now let's get an understanding of what all is happening. Even though I have a separate course on Power Query, and Power Query is an entire animal of its own, so this deserves to be taught in its own course, I'll just give you a very high level overview. Now, one thing you've already learned is that it is inbuilt in Excel, but it does not use Visual Basic. It uses a different language called mQuery. And the formulas that you see here are again not Excel formulas. These are all mQuery formulas. On the left side, we have different queries that are here. Now, we are only concerned with this one, the one where we aggregated the data from all the four Excels and put it into one. So we can hide all the other queries. Remember, those are just working files, so we don't really need to bother with that. More importantly, on the right side, there are these applied steps. So what has happened is that the entire journey, which started when we selected the path, we selected the folder, then we looked at the visible files, then we added a column, we renamed the column, we removed the additional column, we expanded the table, and we changed the data type. If you notice, all these 7 steps have been saved automatically, which is great because that means we don't have to write any functions ourselves. And also, because these steps have been saved, we can repeat it. That means that we have created a automation. So tomorrow when more files get added to that folder, we will simply have to come back and then click on refresh, just like you refresh a pivot table. To verify whether all the 4 files have actually got picked up or not, you will notice that a new column has been created called source.name. Now remember, our original dataset did not have this column. So this is a new column that has been created. And if you open this up, you notice that it is showing you details for 12, 13, 14, and 15. Excellent, right? So just in a few clicks, we managed to combine the data from all the 4 Excels into a single Excel file. But then what do you want to do with this data? We want to send it back to a pivot table, right? Now, if I click on close and load, what's going to happen is that the data is going to get copied on Excel, and I don't really want that. Now, our end goal is to take up all the data points from the Excel file and make a pivot table. So we click on close and load to. And if you notice, there is a box that appears which is asking us, do we want to create a table, a pivot table report, a pivot chart, or do we only want to create a connection? So we want to choose this option, which is only create a connection. Press OK, and you notice that on my sheet, the data is not there, which means that I don't have to create any redundancy. I don't unnecessarily have to make my file size large by pasting the data here. And that's the reason we created a connection. But then how do you use the connection to create a pivot table? We simply click on Insert, Pivot Table, and then Pivot Table once again. And if you notice, there are two options. The first one says select a table or a range, which we have been doing all along in this course. And the second option says use an external data source. We will select choose connection, and as you can see, we want to choose the connection called, I have a lot of connections on my system, but we want to choose the connection called sales. And the moment we open it and press OK, you notice that a pivot table has been created here. And the best part is that we did not have to combine all the four Excels and put it on our Excel file. The data that you see here, let's just verify whether we are getting the right answers or not. If you put sales in value, you will notice it's giving us the exact number, 12,642,501. And the best part is that this number is not even coming from this Excel file. It is in fact coming from the combination of all these four Excel files. Amazing, right? And imagine how much time this will save you, especially when you have maybe 15, 20 Excel files in a folder. You simply have to put the new folder inside, click on refresh, and the data will get refreshed.